Rick Holcomb came on our podcast to discuss the best ways to start learning coin magic and some of the great reasons why you should. Check it out.
I recommend for the beginner, always go to video. Coin magic in particular is hard to get the rhythm, the timing, even the posture of your body, which I don't think is talked about enough. I learned a lot of that from Jay Sankey's magic, just how he would move his entire body as he's doing coin magic.
Yeah.
And if you read a trick, you'll kind of go through it, with the coins in your hand. You end up doing the trick right here in this frame.
Yeah.
And you don't think about performing for 2 or 3 people that are standing around you. When you take that into account, now it's like, oh, this is a bad angle, or I can use this angle to my advantage when I turn this way and do this shuttle pass instead of just doing a shuttle pass like straight on to somebody.
One of my favorite quotes is a John Carney quote, and it's this: "The sleights are the safety net for when the misdirection doesn't work."
Yes.
So it's like, you're using that dynamic to control the attention. And then these moments, which magicians love to focus on, should not be the focus, right?
Right.
It's the other motions of your body, your eyes, your head, your feet, and then the sleights happen.
And John Ramsey's quote, if you want the audience to look at you, then look at them. And it's those kind of things that is really what makes your coin magic a lot better.
I'm a big fan of the video resource to begin with as well. Even just as a starter, I learned some really basic stuff on coins, like from Jay Noblezada. Like, it was not anything entirely amazing. But if it wasn't for those stepping stones, those building blocks, I wouldn't have evolved into the obsession I have. I actually thank Eric Jones for really opening up my eyes to coin magic. He was kind of the big catalyst for myself. Then opened me up to all the people like Miguel Angel Gaya and a bunch of other really cool guys. It's good to have just somewhere to start, because a lot of people think that you just can't do cool stuff with it, and they just know it's in the other hand. And that's where like the theories of which, like, when the coin vanishes, it needs to reappear before it becomes a question of where did it go. If it's not there, if you place it in your left hand and it vanishes, they're going to immediately look where did it was there before. So they'll look to your right hand. So you got to find ways to sort of dance around the theory and understand that. And that's why coin magic for me has been so great with mind misdirection. And basically 80% of my magic is misdirection based, The video tutorial goes, absolutely. But it's later in magic. And I was like a late starter like yourself, Rick. I was 23 when I got into magic, and I'm 39 next week. So all the greats say like all the good stuff's in books, and it's so true. But I feel that you need to be ready for the books. You can't just be a hack and grab a book and just be a Jedi level magician. I think that it takes time before, like, hey man, you're ready for books now. And that's a controversial opinion.
Look at Doug's eyes firing up with a rebuttal.
I'm formulating all the information. I'm just assimilating right now.
Yeah, and it's all good. All perspectives are good. And for me, just quickly as well, I was the same with video. Mine was David Stone's Real Magic DVDs.
God, that's a good set. Oh, that should be like one of the standards for a working professional.
100%. I couldn't agree more.
Or you get David performing in the real world. So all the routines are shot in situation of him performing at a party or at a dinner table, at a restaurant, on stage.
I mean, look, I certainly got some of my favorites. Like, I was going through Jeff Lotter's book, which I'm still yet to march through. And a lot of it I've just read for the sake of learning, because a lot of the stuff that doesn't really apply to my working repertoire. And I say that because I don't have the luxury of sitting at a table and using, certain grips to keep my hands on the table. For example, I'm typically never sitting down. Like 98% of my performances, I'm standing. And so I'm still digesting that to build my knowledge base. But what I'm sort of curious about, Rick, is like, which book has been sort of the most pivotal? I imagine Bobo's is probably like one that you never stop learning, but is there anything outside of Bobo's that you're like, I found this book and this is where like it really changed for me?
Yeah. So I was trudging through Bobo's and
there's good stuff in here somewhere.
That's where I began. So it's like, you have to learn how to read magic to really understand it. But I have a boring answer, and it's David Roth's Expert Coin Magic, and then Richard Kaufman's Coin Magic book.
Let me note this. As a young man, when I was at a magic shop, I was 15, going in this shop, buying all the tricks in the counters and, spending my money that way. And the owner did this one day. He said, Doug, what you need to do is be reading these. Here, take this home and pay me when you can. And that book was Bobo's Coin Magic. And I
Yeah.
lived with that book like a Bible that summer and loved that book. And so I can
love it.
suggest that it is possible for a young mind to be inspired by this book
Yeah.
without video. And God bless that magic shop owner. He was a lunatic for opening that shop in the first place. And God bless him for giving me Bobos. Took me about
Well,
6 weeks at $5 a week to pay off that $30 book.
I do want to qualify my statement that I love Bobos and I started with it. That inspired me in Coin Magic. And all I meant was I got so much more, 10 years later, you go back to Bobos and
true.
you kind of go to page 1 and you're like, oh,
I get it.
I understand that in a whole different way now.
Exactly. There's a good lesson in that. When you read it with, let's say immature eyes, when you first start Magic, you might read any book, any sort of material, whether it be a DVD or book, I imagine. When you revisit it 5, 6, 7, 1 year later, you do see it with different eyes and you go like, oh, I get it now. I get it now.
Yeah.
And you think about it differently, And it's also great to formulate your own opinions on that. There's a lot of things out there that I push back on. I'm looking at my bookshelf now and I'm looking at stuff like Tommy Wonder's books where it's, his mentality is everybody wants to see magic. They just don't know it yet. Whereas I'm like, if somebody doesn't want to see magic, fuck 'em. That's it. I don't care. Like, I'll go somewhere else.
So I hope you enjoyed that clip and maybe that starts you learning coin magic, or maybe gives you the 1% tip over the coin magic you're already learning. Either way, leave a comment below, let us know what you thought, and if you want to watch the full episode with Rick Holcomb, the link is in the description of this video. Until next time, see ya.